the need for energy is going to conflict with the other needs for water, be it for directly for consumption or for the environment. So that's kind of the conventional picture now. Again, this is a quick distillation of what I was going to talk about. And then on the access side, we're very familiar with that, right? 2.5 billion people don't have access to improved sanitation. Roughly 1 billion don't have access to improved water. Energy access to electricity is very limited as well. So we have a problem now, and that is going to be most likely exacerbated under climate change, which is is really a disruptive force going forward. And why is that? Well, climate change is going to affect the water cycle. It's going to perturb the water cycle. And what that means is that it's going to most likely intensify the water cycle and amplify it. So, and this is going to vary from region to region around the world. It even varies, easily within the U.S., within the Northwest, from east to west of the Cascades. But generally speaking, we'll see disturbances to the water cycle, and those disturbances are going to cascade through into energy generation and to the provision of water for drinking water purposes. I've had the benefit of being on a federal committee here in the U.S. over the past 3 years that's overseen the development of a report called the National Climate Assessment. It's a U.S. version of the IPCC assessment reports. It's going to be released on April 28th. And I was the co-lead author on the water chapter, and that report focuses very much on how climate change is disturbing the water cycle. There's also a chapter on the water, energy, and land nexus, so it kind of pulls in food production as well. And it's just very telling. We have these systems that are interconnected with each other. And so a disturbance in one can really sort of be amplified across multiple sectors. And so with climate change, generally speaking, people talk about wetter areas are going to get wetter, drier areas are going to get drier. That's a heuristic. It's going to vary again from region to region. And the effects are also going to vary in terms of its impacts on people. So, those areas that have greater capacity now, be it institutional, financial, technological, are in a better position to weather impacts of climate change, and that's kind of an obvious statement. But those areas that are currently underserved, don't have institutional or personal or technological capacity, are going to have a harder time managing those impacts of climate change. And so what we can expect is that rainfall is going to become more intense and will likely be delivered in fewer events, but of greater volumes of precipitation, which will mean potentially greater flooding. Again, can't say enough, this is going to vary from region to region. Conversely, or paradoxically, we'll also probably see greater droughts. The dry periods in between rain events are likely to increase, and so we'll see sort of the bad ends of both sides of the coin: increased flooding, increased droughts, and that has implications for the existing delivery of energy and water, let alone for those who don't have access. So, in India, a couple of years ago, a delay in the monsoon season led to blackouts, which affected 600 million people. Now I'm not saying that's attributed to climate change, but we can expect, that's the type of thing that we can expect, a shift and a change in the pattern and sequencing of rain events can have significant effects downstream. In the US and the Midwest, in 2006, and this has happened in other years as well, nuclear power facilities had to shut down because the temperature of the water in the Mississippi River was too high. They couldn't use it for their cooling purposes. So, and we also know that after intense flooding events, waterborne diseases spike up. So if we're moving towards more intense events, we may see the occurrence of greater waterborne diseases. So it's a real disruptive force, and that's one of the things that I work on for Seattle Public Utilities, is trying to understand how climate change is going to affect our ability to provide the services that we provide. and look out and sort of game out what does that look like for us here in the Pacific Northwest.